technical problems. So give me 2 seconds here and we are going to go and make sure that we are streaming live with our broadcast, which you can see. So if you know that somebody needs this training, go ahead and share this out with them. You can tag them below, comment, and make sure that they are watching alongside of you. So the thing that we want to talk about today before we dive in on problem, and you're going to want to have your worksheet handy for the training that we're going to actually go through. This is going to be a little bit more detailed, but I'm going to try and fly through it as quickly as I possibly can. So if you're here, if you've already participated in day one, let me know, comment day one so that I can see who has been doing the work. And if you're stuck, please feel free to go ahead and post in my free Facebook group, Successful Sales Strategies. Make sure that you tag me so that I can help you out with where you are and what you need in order to keep moving along in this really fast-paced 3-day challenge. Because over the 3 days, we are getting crystal clear about your 3 Ps to profit. Because I promise you, if you have these 3 things nailed down, as long as you are an expert and you can produce results for your customers and your clients, there is no reason why you should not be able to get a client this week, next month, before the end of the year. And once you have that ability to know how to generate your customers, you can really, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you need to in your business, because the ultimate goal, the ultimate skill that you as a business owner need to actually have is the ability to generate sales, the ability to help people that are going to buy from you and ultimately become paying customers, because without paying customers, you are not a business, right? So let's dive in to a quick recap of what we covered off yesterday. So yesterday was all about your person. And remember, if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And the whole purpose of that, and moving forward as we go through day 2 and day 3, is to be clear. I want you to always think, am I being clear or am I being clever? Now, ideally, you can do both. However, I have found that that is not the case. Almost always, when we try to strive for being clever, we sacrifice being clear. And as Donald Miller, my good old friend at StoryBrand, likes to say, when you confuse, you lose. And here's what I know to be true. God does not walk in confusion. When you are not clear, it is because you are not walking you're not walking towards the path that you are meant to walk on. So the best thing to do is actually to be still, be quiet, and really, really hone in on what it is that you want. And sometimes when you don't know, you have to do the opposite. You have to think, what don't I want? Because if you don't want those things, chances are you want the opposite. So if you don't want to go back to a corporate job, then you need and want to have a successful business. What does that look like? If you don't want to only be able to pay the bills, well, how much do you need in order to pay the bills and then some? Does that make sense? So I want you to always make sure that you are being clear first and foremost, instead of being clever. Because too often when I give feedback to my clients and students, I have to do a lot of clarifying. And so this is what our exercise is today as well. You have a short exercise that you're going to complete as part of your homework. But in order to get to that point, you need to do the other work that is going to take a little bit of extra time. So let's just make sure that we are showing up here. Perfect. And if you are here, feel free to say hello and where you are in the world. Just going to share this. You know what? I think I just posted that on my page. If someone's on your live, can you help a girl out and share it over to Successful Sales Strategies? Because I'm still having some technical issues. So If you're here, thank you for joining me. I'm excited for us to get going here. I think it's Hazel. Hazel, can you help me and share this over to the Facebook group? That would be awesome. I'm having some issues. I can't even see you anymore. So day 2. Who's ready? Who's ready? If you're ready, write ready in the comments below. So what I want you to do is really make sure that you understand the problem that your ideal clients are suffering from. Now, I know that you might be thinking, suffering, that's kind of a really extreme sort of word to use. I want you to think for yourself. When you have had an issue that you have searched for the solution, you have gone and done research, you have taken time and effort and energy and probably a lot of money to try and fix. What did that feel like when you were like, somebody just take this away from me? I'm sure there was a certain level of frustration that starts to build, right? And so what I want you to think about is for your ideal customers and your clients, it's the same sort of situation with their problem. Now, oftentimes, because as human beings, our nature is to be self-centered. We are selfish beings. It's the nature of the game, right? In order for us to have survival, of our survival instincts, they kick in to be self-centered. That's why when we look at little children in particular, it's all about me, 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 right? Because it is innate to our being. It is innate to our survival. It is in order to make sure that our species continues on. And so as we evolve, and if you're a lady, chances are you have forgotten some of that, and you are focusing on so many other people and so many other things that you forget about what it is that you need. And sometimes you forget about what it is that your clients need because you're so focused on everybody and everything else that it gets mixed into this big giant melting pot. Do you feel me on this? So what I want you to do is kind of rewind, because just like I had shared yesterday, you need to be able to connect the dots, not looking forward, but looking backwards. I want you to always think, for somebody that I've already helped with this situation, what was the true problem? What were some of the symptoms of the problem? And what did they explain or share with me? Because when we come right down to it, you are selling a solution to the problem. And we're going to talk about your offer tomorrow, and how that connects the dots between all of these different pieces. But for today, what I want you to think about is your person might have 5 different problems, all interrelated and connected. It is your decision to pick which problem is the problem that I uniquely solve, and that because of my experiences, because of my perspective, and because of the things that I've gone through, uniquely positions me to fix that in the way that only I can. So we're not going to worry about the fact that there's competition. In this situation, the fact that there is competition is a good sign, because it means that you have a viable market product. Does that make sense? Because if nobody else was selling pens, it would be a harder mountain to climb. It's still possible, but now you have to convince people why a ballpoint pen is better than a quill and ink back in those old days, right? Quill and ink, or better than a pencil. Like, why is this going to do the job better than something I already have? That takes the early adopters, and there's a whole psychology process around this. So we're not going to dive in deep on that. What I want you to understand, though, is without a problem, you don't have a job. You don't have a business. You can't sell, because you wouldn't sell anything that does nothing. I hate the saying, and so let me know if you've ever heard this saying. I can sell ice to an Eskimo. So I apologize for my fellow Canucks. We tend to get a lot of Eskimo jokes, or that's how I grew up. Do you guys live in igloos? Like all of these weird things. And I'm probably dating myself, because I know with the world now, there's not as much of that that goes around. But I remember growing up and hearing this saying and going, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you sell ice to an Eskimo? Technically, Eskimo, well, and that is a derogatory term now as well, our Inuit live typically up north, and that's where most of our snow is, like year round. So if they already have access to ice, why in the heck are you selling it? So I hate this saying, because I think it perpetuates the theories and the stigma that we have around selling and feeling sleazy, because when you sell to somebody something they don't need, that is sleazy. That is underhanded. That is out of integrity. And that is not what we're talking about here. This is why we're talking about the problem. What problem do you solve? And what I want you to understand is that your title, the way that you describe yourself, your elevator speech, which is your little intro blurb that you're going to do as part of your homework today, all of that is not as critical as how you communicate this thing, which is the problem. Too often, what I see from experts is that you are speaking too far ahead or you are skipping over the problem. And ultimately, what I want you to understand is that people who are hurt, people that are challenged, people that are frustrated, they want other people to understand their frustration, that can speak that language. So if you don't speak that language, it's essentially like you're speaking a whole different language, and they're not even going to know that you exist or that you can help, which is really frustrating. This is why when you see your customers and your clients walking like down the street or on the virtual street and ending up working with somebody else, it's because of this. It's because the problem that they are looking for the solution for is not what you're communicating, even if it's something that you do. Now, I'm going to go back to the analogy of the steak and the sizzle, because your job is to sell the sizzle, not the steak. Okay. So when we're thinking about the problem, oftentimes what ends up happening is your natural tendency is going to be to jump ahead, to jump to the solution. Like, here's how I help, here's what I sell. That is not what I'm asking you. I'm asking, what is the problem that you solve? So you need to go backwards a few steps to figure out, what is it that is the problem? What is it that my clients struggle with? What is it that's getting in the way? And it's not a matter of you giving them what they need. It's a matter of, what is it that they actually want? So the best example that I can share that I think it kind of relates to everybody is health and wellness, right? So let's focus on weight loss, because regardless of what you do in the health and wellness space, ultimately people want to look and feel better. Usually that is related to their weight. Even if they're, skinnier, they want to either look more toned, they want a six pack, they want to fit into a specific outfit or their bikini. I mean, if we're going into vacation season, right? Those are all things that your person wants. The problem is how they look now. It's the last 10 pounds. It's the sluggishness. It's the fact that they can't put on the pants. Those are the problems that they are struggling with. That's the sizzle that they want. The steak is the diet and exercise, the movement, the mindset, the routine. Do you feel me? Like, as I start to say that, your energy is like, because you don't really care how you get it. You just want to know, can you help me lose the last 10 pounds of my baby weight? Can you help me finally fit into the size that I was 2 years ago that's still sitting in the back of my closet? Can you help me finally be able to wear the dress that I want for the upcoming holiday parties? Yes, I can. Well, I can't. Maybe you can. So that's what I want you to think about, is what is the problem that is holding your clients back, right? Now, sometimes in order for you to get to the true problem, like the root problem, so this is a little pro tip, and this wasn't in part of your homework, but while you're on here live, what I want you to do is challenge yourself. Could you actually describe the problem in one single word? Now, too often what I hear from experts is, I ask, so how do you help people? So these are one of two things happens. You jump to the solution. Oh, I do blah, 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 blah. And you give me all the steak. Okay. How do I find the person? Because typically people don't go around saying, oh, I wish I had $1 million. Oh, I wish I lived somewhere else. Oh, I wish I could travel the world anytime I wanted. They may say that occasionally, but it's not something that they're going to say all the time. Instead, what they're going to go and say is, I'm really frustrated. Like, I want to help more people, but I just don't know where they are. right? I want to be able to finally lose that weight, but I keep getting thwarted with, or I hate going to the gym. Problem. So how to lose weight when you don't want to go to the gym? How to lose weight when you actually don't enjoy walking? How to lose weight when you have to drink more water and you don't like the taste of water? So these are problems and symptoms of the problem that your clients are struggling with. So either you're going to the solution and you're giving these long-winded things about all of the wonderful things that you do, which is great, but if I don't understand who you do that for, which is yesterday, and what you do for them, which is today, what do you do? Because the problem is what you do. It's not what you sell. This is what you do. You are a problem solver. So if you can't describe the problem, if people don't understand this, you actually don't have a really clear way for people to go out and help you. People want to help. Your existing clients want to help, right? And so your friends and family, so here's a challenge that you can do right now as you're doing this exercise. Post on any social media platform and ask people, what do I do? How do I help people? I'm just curious. Do you know what it is that I do in my business? And see what kind of responses that you get. Because I promise you, if you don't talk about the problem enough, and this is not about being like doomsday or Debbie Downer, this is about saying, I know that you're challenged with the roller coaster income months. I know that it can be hard and frustrating to stand out on social media and figure out who you're talking to consistently so that you have a constant stream of leads booking on your calendar. I know how frustrating it is to talk to people and have amazing conversations, but only to have them go nowhere and have your potential customers paying other experts because they think they can do the job better than you. Frustrating, right? So all of these things are things that my ideal clients suffer from. If you don't have a consistent way of being able to prospect, convert, and help those customers and help them become repeat customers, then you're doing a heck of a lot of effort with not a lot to show for it. So I want you to think for your ideal customers, why is she stuck? What is it that's getting in her way? And if it helps, because sometimes, again, like I said before, it can be hard to figure out and go backwards in time to look in that rear view mirror and connect the dots between where she is right now and what caused some of these things and what is it that she is struggling with. So if you already know what it is that she wants, what is that hope and dream and desire, then it's a lot easier to figure out what's the opposite of that, right? So if you help your customer live a freedom lifestyle, maybe you are a digital nomad coach and you allow them to travel the world while still making money. So right now, if that's what they want, then what are they stuck with? Are they already in a job? Do they feel like they're chained to their desk? Is it that they just don't have the ability to know what to do when they get to a new country? Is that the problem? Is it the fact that they don't have the income level to be able to do that? Are they still stuck in a job? Or are they in their business, but they don't have the ability, the freedom to know where to get clients from or the structure to be able to do it internationally? So can you see there's lots of different problems that I could pick? And again, we're going back to the very beginning of this training. You get to choose your option. You. And I know, again, just like yesterday, that may be very daunting because having too many options can be overwhelming. For the purposes of today, in order to get you going, pick one. Pick the one that you go, oh, I know how to fix this. This is really easy for me. Because when it's easy for you, it feels light, you're confident, and you're able to do it without a lot of thought and effort. This is where we want to move you because as we continue to move forward, you're going to get resistance. There's going to be other things that go bump in the night that will be a little bit more difficult and challenging for you as the business owner as well. So why not set yourself up for success? And why not pick the one that you could do like the back of your hand, like in the middle of the night? So that way, you know that you can deliver those perfect, amazing results and that you are going to be able to deliver exactly what it is that you're selling, because confidence and being able to understand what it is that you deliver is more than half the battle. So I'm just checking to make sure that I've gone through all the questions that we are needing to review. So the main thing here, so the last part, because we talked about it yesterday as well, you can't be all things to all people. You can't solve all the problems, just like I described with that little example. Like there's so many different ways that I can spin this. And so, yes, it's important for you to know that you can still do all of these things for your clients, but you, for today and really moving forward until the end of the year, don't confuse them by talking about too many things, too many problems, talking to too many people. Because again, this is about your marketing. This is not about how you service people and how you help them. You can still help people that want the steak. You can help people that want the compound butter, they want the side salad, they want, baked potato, they want mashed potatoes. All of those are beautiful options for you. Just don't talk about all of them all at the same time. Because unless they're related together, you do this. And that gets really, really confusing for your ideal customers. So I want you to promise and commit to being consistent in speaking about one problem for the next 30 days that brings you to the holiday season. Okay, so this has been done very, very intentionally, very, very strategically. And what you will find is that even if you do this for the next 5 days consistently, and you really get to the heart of the matter of what it is that is truly holding your clients back, clients will appear. And if clients don't appear, sorry, not sorry, you're not clear. You're still not clear. And I see it time and time again with my students. If you're not asking for help, if you are not coachable, if you are not able to see and connect the dots between what has really happened for your customers and remove the lens of transformation that's over your eyes, you are going to continually confuse your customers because you're speaking in a transformed language. Does that make sense? So it's like somebody who is who already speaks French trying to teach to a non-native French speaker. There are going to be simple little things that you forget and maybe you don't even know about because you've never been a non-native French speaker. Like if French is your first language, then going backwards to figure out like where are they going to get stuck? Because I'm going to tell you, as somebody who has taught other individuals, so one of my businesses, total side note, was tutor. I used to teach. I've been a teacher almost my entire life, so I've taught people for a long time, and I used to teach. And when I would get people who were non-English speakers teaching them English, what ended up happening is they would first do it in their native tongue, and then they would translate it into English. And as you know, things get lost in translation. So in order to teach, I had to understand how they were going to translate it first and be able to speak to the translation before I taught them the proper way. That is essentially what you are doing with your customers. You have to undo your learning a little bit in order to make sure that you can speak to where they are. And that's the problem. That's why if you are speaking to the solution, or even worse, the end solution, because sometimes we get stuck when we're talking about the solution. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. You confuse people, you lose them because the words that you're using aren't clear and the words that you're using aren't what they're using. So again, sell the sizzle, not the steak. They would not just, so if you had a starving man on the side of the road and all he wanted was some food, if you had an offer of a steak, you probably wouldn't have to describe it very much, right? Because he's starving. Having said that, what you want to make sure of is that if you have somebody who has a choice, because they have choices, and that's one of your exercises as part of your worksheet, is why are you unique? Why are you different in this buffet? Why would they go for your steak versus king crab or salad or the baked potato, right? So you're going to need to be able to describe that steak in a way that's mouth-watering for your client. And that is really about honing in on their problem. If they love compound butter, gosh darn it, you better believe that's what I'm highlighting. And it's because that matches their need. So you need to make sure that you understand where that problem is coming from. You need to make sure that you understand where they are and be able to communicate very clearly with them. Make sense? Okay, let me just take a quick look and see if my technology is cooperating with me. And if I can see any of your comments, I will take a quick sec here just to answer. Hazel, hello, hello. Okay, watching live from Montreal. I was always confident to selling, what is that, fridge in Alaska? I think I'm thinking way too far ahead and not speaking the freaking language. Yes, Hazel, I can tell you from what I'm seeing, and as your kick in the butt coach, you are confusing. You are way confusing. It's a be simple. If you were describing this to a 5-year-old, to a 9-year-old, how would they know who you're talking to and what you do? So here's my example, because at the end of the day, I help experts, service providers who want to sell more and have a thriving business, create consistent income without having to sell their soul, without having to sell with the sleaze, and do it in an easy, authentic, fruitful way, right? Where you know that there's some consistency of your leads, there's some consistency of your results, and that your income is not doing this up and down. Okay, so if I was to make this even simpler for a 9-year-old, so quick note, when I first started my business, all of my copy went through my my 9-year-old at the time. It was 3-4 years ago, so my son was between 9 and 10. He if I thought I was being confusing, I would get my son to read my social media posts. True story, because that is the grade level that we typically will interpret and process information. The world moves so quickly now that if we are not clear, if we are not concise, if we are not straight to the point, if we don't dial in our language, then people blank out. So every time I want you to review and go, would a 9-year-old understand this? Would they go, huh? I don't get it. Because so again, I love Donald Miller, love me some Donald Miller. He always says, if you cause people to burn more brain cells than they need to, they don't. They leave. And as I like to say, they do nothing, which is really, really frustrating. So what you want to do is make sure that you're always very clear. So again, thinking about my longer sentence, because that is when I'm talking to my actual clients. But if I had to simplify this even more, here's what I would describe for my problem. So hopefully this helps you. If you don't have money, or it's going up and down like a roller coaster, I can help you stop being afraid to sell. My one word problem is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty, fear of success, fear of failure. Like, what if it doesn't work? So ultimately, everything that I teach about for my ideal clients, even if they're really, really successful, the underlying problem that I help is fear. I don't know if blah, 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 dot, dot, dot. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if this is the best way. I don't know if people will buy this. That's what I fix. I fix fear. My lens is through service and courage, is putting all of that crap aside and saying, I'm going to help somebody every single day. That's why my mantra is find someone to serve every day. It's not about you. It's about your clients. Somebody is waiting for you on the other side of that fear. And so for me, a lot of how I teach is through faith. It's through practice. It's through the skills, but there's a bit here, which is the magic bit, that you have to take the leap before you're ready. You have to do it without knowing all the steps. You have to be able to say, screw it, I'm going to be doing it anyways. It's about getting out of your own way, and it's about not walking through the land of confusion thinking that this is God's path for you, because God does not walk in that kind of language. God does not walk down a path that's littered with all of this crap where you have to figure out what you're doing. God makes things very, very clear when you are doing exactly what you need to do. And so if you are lost in this kind of rotation or hamster wheel, it is because you are allowing yourself to stew in your own juices and keep doing that. So this is serving you to be able to keep going around and around without making success a non-negotiable. And I see it time and time again that right when my clients get close to turning the corner, fear gets in the way. And that's when the enemy swoops in and says, not today. You're not going to make progress. You are not claiming your calling, and you are going to stay stuck because it serves me better. And when you allow that to stop you because you are now overthinking and you are now making things more complicated. So sometimes what ends up happening so I'm going to backtrack. So sometimes what the easiest thing is before any gurus got involved, before experts start to smash out your voice and say, you can't do that, you can't do that. You're not qualified to do that. You can't do this. That's silly. That's a dumb idea. We all know, because even from when we were little, we've had grown-ups and people that we trust like squash us. And so we think we're not big enough to solve this problem. We're not qualified to solve this problem. How am I going to do this? But yet there's that little bit, right? It only takes a mustard seed for you to be able to go, but what if I could? So we're coming up on the Christmas season. Actually have Christmas lights in my office. I didn't turn them on this morning, but it's like the story in the Grinch, right? The Grinch's heart grew. What is that thing? The Grinch's heart grew 2 sizes that day. And it was because there was a little spark that started, and it allowed that to grow so fast. And that is what's possible for you if you stop overthinking, overdoing, and pare it down. Keep it simple. Keep it super simple. And I know that sometimes if you are stuck, it's hard to ask for help because it feels like you've been asking and asking and asking and nobody is getting this. At the end of the day, you get to decide. Again, you hold the entire power of all of this. So if you are the problem, you are also the solution, which is great news because it means that it is as simple as flicking the switch and you making the decision that I am no longer going to get stuck. I am no longer going to be confusing. I am no longer going to be held captive to my own inability to get clear. The clarity is just about making a decision. Clarity is about putting your stake in the ground and saying, this is who I want. This is how I want to help them. And I don't care about the rest. And so if you are still struggling right now, Hazel, you're still here. So I want to make sure that you go back. So I'll give you an example for me, because you may have been following me for quite some time, because I've been on this journey. Gosh, it's been just over 3 years now officially, which is like, hallelujah, praise Jesus. Because the stats, if you've been around and you're making money in your business, I'm giving you a high five, because the stats say, especially for women, because we are opening businesses left, right, and center way more than men, but the failure rate is very high within the first 18 months, within the first 3 months, and then still within the first 5 years. So if you can make it, you are still standing. There is still hope for you, sister. And 2020, I know, is going to be amazing. And my inner circle is going to reap the rewards of being true to themselves. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because our Sales Mastery Society members, we're getting more as I get more prophetic downloads for you. So Hazel, let me take a look. What am I doing wrong? Hazel, I need you to spend more time in prayer. So this is not sermonizing, but because you're on here live, I want to give you the help that you need. I think you know what's happening. right now there is an influence over you that is of darkness and that is keeping you stuck. So you may think that they are your savior and your guiding force, but they are darkness and they are snuffing out your light. And you are actually this close inside of SMS to flipping it. You like this close because I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to break through. And then something happened and something or someone swooped in and created confusion for you and made you question yourself, but actually made you feel like you were moving forward. But in essence, you're moving backwards because you're becoming more confusing than before. And I know that's hard to hear, but I'm saying this out of service for you because I care about you and I want the best for you. I need you to spend time really, really sitting in prayer for me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm all liquid. I'm liquid fasting right now for 20 days so that I can get clear on what I need to do and what I need to do for my clients because I'm a servant leader. So everything that I do is in support of the people that I'm surrounding myself with, which are you people, right? Like you guys are my people. So let's see, I'm going to ask the kindergarten peeps. Yes. So yes and no. This is where you want to make sure that you're asking your ideal clients that you want to work with, but using simple language like a kindergarten can answer and understand. And so, yeah, Hazel says, I believe my avatar is afraid to be visible on video or afraid to go for it. Perfect. That's simple. But all of this other stuff, we don't need all this other stuff. But what I want you to know, what I want you to dig into is why are they afraid? Because it's not about going on video per se. It's about something else. So I one of my early clients was a video visibility coach. Gosh, that's a tongue twister. And so she worked with individuals and wanted to use the power of video to stand out and be known as the go-to expert. So the thing that was holding her clients back was about two things. I don't know how to do it, the technical part, which she was an expert. She was in TV for a number of years, was a TV producer. So she had the technical know-how. And then even beyond the technical, it was, I don't like how I look. I don't want to go on video. Like I have to do makeup and hair. So we had to shift hers because first we did the technical and then she still had to overcome the real objection, the real problem, which was, okay, I know how to do it, but I still don't want to do it. I know I need to do it, but I don't want to do it. So this was about confidence. So she changed her name from video visibility to video visibility and confidence coach. So it was about speaking directly to what people wanted. They wanted to look better on video. They wanted to be confident that when they were going on, that they weren't wasting their time. So I want you to think for yourself, is that where they are right now? Does that make sense? So, yeah. And so the other part is the end of your own captivity. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Pray and fast. Hi, Erica. Yes, please feel free to go ahead and watch from the beginning. Pray and pray and pray. So that's a whole other thing. I'll do a whole other. So if you guys are interested, because I've been getting a lot of questions about this, how do I see? How do I hear? How do I know when God speaks to me? That's a whole other lesson and exercise. My SMSers get the inside scoop on all of that, but I'm happy to share. And actually, I'm going to be sharing on my personal page what's happening with my dad because I'm getting a lot of people asking. And he's a living, breathing miracle right now. But here's what I know. If you are confused, here's what happens. One of two things. Silence, because I need you to pray, if that's your belief. For me, that is mine. So I pray and I get silent and I think about what I want. And if I can't answer what I want, then I do the opposite. What don't I want? Who don't I want to help? What don't I want to fix? Right? So as an example, I don't want to, when I consult with my consulting clients, I don't want to have to do the day-to-day sales management. I have done it and I will do it on exception, But if I have people sending me referrals for a sales manager type of role, it's a no. It's a no. I don't want to do that. That's a problem I don't want to solve, right? So I want you to think for yourself, what don't you want? Because that can help you to get clearer on what you do want. And you need to create space and margin to be able to sit in silence and reflect, because again, this is a rear view mirror exercise. You do not have to create new problems that you don't know how to fix, that you have never fixed. You don't have to forward cast that out and put that on your vision board. This is about looking in the rear view mirror and going, what have I fixed? What do I like fixing? Because if I have a toolkit and I have all of these tools in my toolkit and I hate wielding a hammer, well, guess what? I'm not going to look for a job where I have to put in a nail. Makes no sense. Make sense? So you get to choose. And if you're unclear, if you are walking in confusion, it is because there's influence over you that is allowing you to stay stuck. And so the question that you always want to think about is, how is this serving me? Because there is a reason for you to stay stuck. So I'll give you one last example because I hope this is helping to kind of break free, because I'm going to tell you, when you can communicate the problem so that other people go, oh, I know someone, just from the problem without you describing your person, bingo, you got it, right? So when I say I help people who are scared to sell or they are uncertain, I don't know how to blah, 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 blah in my business. I don't know where my results are coming from. I don't know where my clients are. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from, right? Like, I don't know how to stabilize this up and down roller coaster. When people hear these things, like, I help the people that have a lot of I don't knows at the end of the day, and they go, oh, I know someone. That's me. Great. I can help you. So when you get this and you hit this nail on the head, it makes things a lot easier and simpler for you. So the other part is, because I know sometimes, because these are going to be dualities, right? When you are unclear, you're going to sit and ponder and reflect in the rearview mirror. The other option is for you to just move forward, keep trying, tweaking, and adjusting. Now, this is not about going blindly and aimlessly, because I see a lot of people getting lost in the forest doing that. What it means is that you are paying attention to the signs that show up right in front of you, which means that you have to be intentional and you have to be quiet. And that means that you do not follow 5 bajillion experts out there. I have fallen into this trap. You can't create any sort of forward movement if you don't do one thing at a time. Finish one thing and be able to create a start and an end point. The 3 P's that we're doing creates a start and an end. Like, these 3 things are one complete bridge. And when you have this ready to go, then you're going to be able to create an opportunity for yourself. That's why this has been created intentionally, because I did the work. I looked in the rearview mirror and I said, what are the 3 P's that if I could boil this down and make it as simple as possible that are going to help people to get traction? You still have to do the work. It's not simple or easy or light or fun all the time. But if you actually do the work, you will see the results and the outcomes and stop getting stuck. Getting stuck is a choice. So when you move forward, it's about taking a step, one step, not 5 bajillion steps, and not like, I'm going to do all of these like this because I have one expert telling me this, another expert telling me this, another expert telling me this, and another one over here, and I'm doing them all at the same time. Guess what happens? Nothing. Because it's like you being pulled into, like, if I took all of your limbs and pulled you, what would happen to the rest of your body? Probably nothing. You wouldn't move, right? Try as I might, unless one of us is really forceful, that takes a lot of force. So that's you. You are creating this inside of yourself by not moving forward and making a decision. This problem today that you're focusing on for your ideal clients is a choice. And guess what? You get to choose. So when you move forward with that choice and you pay attention to, what are people saying? Did I land, or is it still fuzzy? Where do I need to refine? So when I first started in my business, I wanted to I wanted to talk about success because I was right in the thick of things with my pain journey. I was still doing a lot of my own healing. I wanted to share that transformation, but I also knew that money was not the most important thing in my life. I'd already built a hugely successful career, hit milestones in my financial and wealth being that I kind of hit a million, and I was like, well, I did it. So I mean, I can aim for 10 million, but at this point, I already know how to create wealth. And I'm not saying this because I'm bragging. What I want you to understand is that for me, um, I had already done a certain thing. And so I was stuck and I was wondering, how do I help people? And I overlooked the simple thing that was right here until my good friend Lee Min, give shout out to Lee, helped me to get clear and see my own zone of genius. So when I was able to figure this out, that I can't help people just be successful because I kept saying, oh, live life on your own terms, do this or this. So I had so many different definitions of what success looked like. There was no clear problem, no clear problem. So all of my content was not making any sense at all. When I look back on it, I shake my head because it was simple, but it didn't resonate. It didn't land because it didn't strike anybody. Remember yesterday we talked about going from here to here? It didn't hit here. It was like, oh, that's nice. That's good. Yeah. So I got some comments, but they were like that. So it was very frustrating to go, who doesn't want to be successful? Why don't you want to be successful when I wanted it so badly for them? So as soon as I switched and I started focusing on the problem that I kept seeing in these Facebook groups, because that's where I focused my attention, and I saw women, ambitious, committed, driven, highly qualified women struggling with how to figure out how to speak to people, how to get known as the go-to expert, how to actually communicate in a way that people would understand so that they could get more clients and be able to finally sell and get over this whole idea of what selling actually was, the light bulb went off with some help. I got help. That's why I'm trying to help you. Right. And so for me, as soon as I decided, because again, I want you to hear it was my choice. I chose to focus on success. As soon as I chose to focus on sales and a very specific part of sales, because when I say, oh, I'm a sales strategist, and people go, well, wow, that's like, what does that mean? And I say, I help experts who need to have conversations with individuals in order to be able to sell, master how they sell so that they don't have to feel sleazy. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. And so I decided that my problem was conversations, discovery calls, and everything related to that piece. The problem was I'm not getting calls booked. The problem is I'm not getting clients from the calls I get booked. That is the area of focus that I continue to spend on because for me, I'm not a digital marketing guru. I don't work on SEO or pay per clicks and do a lot of heavy advertising strategies, although they are part of how I teach and part of how I work with my clients, depending on what works best for them. So I need you to now choose. And this is a lot longer than I was expecting just because you're on here live. And so that's the benefit of showing up live is that you get a little bit of extra, a little extra. Okay. So let me see if we have any other questions here. Yes, Hazel, I'm praying for you as well. And it's one of the things that it's one of the reasons why I built my community. And I say my, but I'm a leader, but my community helps me as much as I help them. It is a co-creation. It is a relationship. And we're very much still in the early stages, and I am doing everything I possibly can to maintain the integrity of how I lead and show up and provide the support, even as we continue to grow and scale. That is my commitment to myself. And if I can't, then the design of it won't stay true. And so at that point, it won't be what it is. Does that make sense? So For me, that's super, super important. And that's one of the reasons why I am very intentional about who is called into the program, who is able to get the most benefit, because this is a direct connection to me and a direct connection to how I work with my faith. So Kylie's saying, I don't want to work with women who can utilize free government services for domestic violence. Perfect. That's super clear, right? And so Kylie, I know that you've been doing the work, and a lot of this has been silence, which is hard. It's hard when you're a doer to be silent, to give yourself space. And that's part of the reason why I fast, is so that I can give myself the space. And because it's hard. And it's just like Rachel Hollis had said, hard is the price of admission for not having a mediocre life. Like, if you think that having a business is easier than having a 9 to 5, you're on la la land. And if you think that it is more fruitful in terms of just being more fulfilling, absolutely. But it doesn't come without a cost. It's not like somebody hands it to you on a silver platter and says, go forth and conquer, because here's the gift I gave you, and this is what you're uniquely called to do. It's still hard. It still takes work. It still takes effort. And yes, it can be easier at times, but just like learning anything new, you still have to learn it. You still have to do it. It doesn't happen like that, right? So I think too many people skip over that, and there's too much talk about, even in the spiritual world, about you just pray and it'll come. Yeah, I'm a master manifester. Like, I pray for something, I just think of something and it does appear. But I still have to do the work. I still have to go to where the thing might happen. I still have to talk to an individual that I may want to work with. Does that make sense? So I don't just sit back here like om all day as I pray and fast, and then things just magically appear in my lap. I still have to do what I said I was going to do. That is the most important commitment. And I have actually an upcoming podcast episode on what it takes to truly master the sales. It starts with us. So Erica is saying, based on what I shared before, does it appear to you that I'm clear on my problem? On your problem. So Erica, yes and no. I think you're getting close to it, because some of your ideal client avatar, what you described yesterday, you're verging into problem. What I want you to do is think, for today, why is she seeking you as the solution? So ultimately, what is her cause, and how would she describe it, and why is it creating such angst for her? So if you had to ask somebody else to find you this person, she is struggling with blank. What is that? So I think your person is super clear, right? So even if you just made it for the purposes of today's exercise, like I help overwhelmed HR professionals who are struggling with blank. Like, what is that blank? If you can distill that into a few words, a simple phrase, how would you describe that? Because you have a lot of information that's describing a situation that she's going through. If you can make that and drill that down. And so again, the pro tip that I had earlier was, if you could describe it in one word, what potentially could that one word be, right? Because that's the ultimate in conciseness. That's the ultimate in clarity. So my example was, mine is fear. That's why there's a lot of I don't know questions, or I have a fear of success. What if this happens? That kind of angst that comes up. Like, am I selling the right way? Did I say the right thing? Oh my gosh, was that pushy? Was that too aggressive? Did it come on too strong? Should I have made that offer? Was that the right price? Like, all of these things are tied to my one word, which is fear. So I hope that helps you. Kylie's having a digital media fast. Are you? Is that what you're doing? Because I'm like, what's happening with this? Okay. Hazel says, I need some coffee. You're welcome, Hazel. I'm choosing differently today. You're welcome. Yeah. And I'm saying this out of love, out of service, and out of deep connection with you, Hazel, because I know that sometimes we take actions out of fear, thinking they're for our best. And because other experts have said, don't do this, do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've done that. I've said to people, don't do this, do that. I'm very careful with when I do that now. If it comes out, it's usually because it's divinely led, but typically I will encourage you to pray or to consider or to journal on it or to do what you need to do, because I can give you options and strategies and tactics, but at the end of the day, if there's inner resistance, if there's something within you that is going, nope, no can do, it's not going to be right for you. And I know that there are other folks out there that are working on behalf of the enemy, but using the word of the Lord in order to be confusing, because that's what happens. And they are doing a good job. They're winning the battle oftentimes for over our believers. And I need us, especially as we come into like something momentous is going to happen in 2020. If you allow yourself the choice and the freedom to be able to step into this and have the courage to do so, big things are on the horizon. Big transformations are happening. Like the numbers that are happening in 2020 are like energetically, they're just different. And I'm not going to be too woo-woo because that's not who I am, but I do pay attention. And more importantly than just paying attention, I listen to what God speaks to me. And so this is what is happening, and it's up to us to just pay attention. So I need you to stop walking in confusion. I need you to stop listening to the people that are actually walking you down a darker path than where you are being called to, because you are at the fork in the road. Like, and I can actually pinpoint this if this helps you. It was probably 3 weeks ago. So Hazel, it was like a week before you had sent me your message about other like needing to focus elsewhere or responsibilities or whatever. So it was about a week to 10 days, right around that time frame. Okay, so if that helps you, because I knew a shift was happening, and yeah, and so it was in that timeline. Does that help? So there is an undue influence over you that has kept and is keeping you trapped, thinking that it is the light when it is actually the dark. And it needs to be cut off. It needs to be cut off swiftly, just like you have a rotting arm. It needs to be cut off. It is not an option for you. It is not an opportunity. It's opening a channel to things that you don't need. So sorry, not sorry. That's part of my job. So okay, let me just see if there's any other questions. Lots of comments. Loving all of your activity. So thank you for joining. Hazel says, oh my God. So I hope that you know exactly what I mean with that timeline. And feel free to send me a message, Hazel. I think if you want to come back in the fold, please do so, because we can keep you covered and on the straight and narrow. Kylie is saying, why is she seeking me as a solution? Exactly, right? That is the number one question. And if you can answer this, tomorrow's exercise is going to become super simple, super simple. Okay. And that's why we've designed this the way that we have. So if you have been participating, as you get clearer, share with your people, because that's the whole purpose of this. I know that as a learner, you may be, used to like learning in isolation and not actively talking about it. The whole purpose of this is to give you practice so that you're comfortable and confident in being able to talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more you are creating ambassadors for your brand, for your message to go out and do the work with you. So I'm probably a unique unicorn. More and more I'm seeing that I want the best for everyone. I firmly believe and I trust in God that there is more than enough to go around, and there is no competition. I have never felt this way. And I have the spirit of discernment, which means that people who are doing similar things or even different things, but if they are not aligned to my spirit and my calling, they are not for me. And I have no regard to cut them out of my life. Like, they're out. That's my boundary. I don't feel bad about it, and nor should you. That being said, when there are people who do exactly what I do, which is sales or business coaching, and they are aligned to me, I have no problem promoting and lifting them up. And I think the more that we can do this together and rise up together, the better off we are. And that means that you need to communicate. If you are stuck now doing this work and the only person you're telling this to is me, well, I'm not your ideal client. Go and find someone to serve today that has your problem, because now you're able to do that. Now you know your person and now you know the problem. So you're already 2/3 of the way. You can help them today. You can help them. Find someone to serve. Find someone to serve today and every single day. It's one of the challenges that we're doing inside of Sales Mastery Society is this exact thing, right? Our 3Ps, Kylie's here. We've been doing the 3Ps every single day. And actually, I'm going to pop in there later today because I got a message for y'all because I'm paying attention and I'm seeing what's happening in there. And we need a little bit of a kick in the butt. So thank you for joining me. We're going to be back on tomorrow live for part 3 for our 3Ps challenge. If you know somebody who's in the challenge and is missing out on watching these, go ahead and tag them below so that you can make sure that they watch the replay and get all of the training and do the work alongside of you. Because let's face it, like I said, learning is only half the battle. You actually have to put in the effort. You have to do the work. You have to take the time. You have to take the motions to actually put this in action so that you can build on your momentum. So part 3 tomorrow, we're talking about our final P. And don't miss out. You're going to want to register for my bonus masterclass. I'm talking all about the 5 biggest mistakes that I made on my journey to my first 6 figures in my business. No holds barred, right? I share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all the stuff in between, because it's not all bells and whistles and glitter and unicorns when you're making money in your business. It is a lot of heartache and tears and frustration. And if I can save you from having the same mistakes that I made, and sometimes I still make, I'm happy to do so. So be sure to sign up for that masterclass. It's happening on Thursday at noon Pacific, but tomorrow we're going to be back here at 9 a.m. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.